Hi all, good day to all. My name is Gayatri, Assistant Professor, Department of IT, Kamaraj College of Engineering and Technology. Today we are going to discuss about decision tree algorithm. As we all know, the machine learning algorithm is having n number of algorithms for data set analysis. Here we are going to discuss about the decision tree algorithm. So, the decision tree algorithm is one among the supervised learning algorithm, which is used both for classification as well as regression, but in many cases the decision tree will be used for classifying the data set. Here also we are going to make use of decision tree algorithm for classification. So, the decision tree is a tree structure like classifier, where the internal nodes represents the features of the data set and the branches represents the decision rules, and each of the leaf node will represents the outcome. So, this is the general structure of the decision tree. Here in the root node we will be considering the entire data set in the root node. After that the tree will be splitted based on the attribute selection method what we have used. So, based on the attribute selection method, the data set will be splitted into number of subtrees. The subtrees will hold decision nodes and the leaf nodes. So, the decision nodes will be further splitted into leaf node as well as the decision nodes. This process will be continued until the entire data set attributes are reached. So, these are all the general terminologies what we are going to discuss in this decision tree algorithm. First, in the root node we will be having the entire data set for what we are applying the classification. In the leaf node, this is considered to be the final node. Once the algorithm reaches this leaf node, in the sense further that will not no any splitting will happen there. So, this leaf node will hold the output of the decision tree algorithm. The splitting is the process of splitting the decision node or root node based on the attribute selection method. After splitting, it will be separated as a subtree which holds the subnodes. Next, regarding this branch or subtree will be formed when the tree is splitted. Pruning will be carried out in order to remove the excessive or unwanted branches from the decision tree. Next, regarding this parent and child node, according to the decision tree, the root node is considered to be a parent node, and all other remaining node will be considered as a child node. Here let us consider one simple example for decision tree classification. A candidate one who is want to decide whether he have to accept or reject the job based on number of attributes. Here he has considered salary, the distance of his office from his home, and the travel proficiency, whether it is provided or not. First of all, the salary is considered for root node, then it is splitted based on the attribute selection method, where it produces one decision node and one leaf node. After that, based on the decision rule, further it is splitted into one decision node and one leaf node. Further, the decision node is splitted into two leaf nodes. So, this is the way how the decision tree will work. So, next, regarding this attribute selection measure, one of the important issues or purpose what we are using this attribute selection measure in the decision tree is in order to find out what attribute the node wants to hold will be chosen based on this attribute selection measure. So, usually the attribute selection measure for decision tree will be calculated by using these two methods. One is information gain and another one is Gini index. Here we are going to discuss about Gini index for attribute selection measure. So, according to the information gain, the attribute for the node will be selected whether which node is having highest information gain, that node will be selected that attribute will be selected as a node. In case of Gini index, the attribute which is having lowest Gini index will be selected for the node. Next we are going to discuss about constructing the decision tree by using Gini index by using this sample data set. The sample data set, let us consider these 10 instances from W1 to W10. This is considered to be a weekend. Then there are 3 attributes, namely weather, parents and money. So, based on these 3 attributes, in the particular weekend the decision is being taken. The decisions or the decision column holds, that is the decision column is considered to be a output column. Here the decision holds some 4 values, one is cinema and another one is tennis, then shopping and staying. So, based on the attributes the decision will be decided. Now, let us discuss how the tree is constructed for classification using Gini index. Here this is the sample data set. First of all, we are going to calculate the Gini index for entire data set. So, in the entire data set, as we discussed already, the decision is considered to be a output. So, this output carries on 4 variables such as cinema, tennis, staying and shopping, like this. Among these, the cinema holds 6 instances, then tennis hold 2 instances and shopping, staying holds 1 instance each. Okay. So, for each of these instances, now we are going to calculate the Gini index. As we discussed in the formula, we are applying the instances in the Gini index. Okay. So, 1 minus, this is for cinema. Among 10 instances, 6 holds cinema, then among 10 instances, 2 holds tennis, and among 10 instances, 1 holds for staying and 1 holds for shopping. After solving this, we will get 0.58 as a Gini of over the data set, that is all the data set. Next, we are going to calculate the Gini index for each of the attributes. As we discussed before, here there are 3 attributes, weather, parents and money. Let us start from money. Let us calculate the Gini index for money attribute. Here in money attribute there are 2 possible variables, one is rich, another one is poor. So, here we have mentioned it. So, among these 10 attributes, there are 7 rich samples and 3 poor samples. Okay, 7 rich samples and 3 poor samples are there. When money is equal to poor, there are 3 cinema. Okay, when money is equal to poor, there are 3 samples with cinema. So, after that we are applying the instances with Gini index and we will getting the output as 0. Next, when the money is equal to rich, there are 2 samples with tennis. 2 sample with tennis, one is there and another one is here. Then 3 samples with cinema as well as 1 sample with shopping and staying. 1 sample with staying, shopping. Okay. So, now we are applying the instances with Gini index formula. So 1 minus out of 7, that is for rich, there are 7 number of rich samples. Out of 7, there are 2 samples of tennis and 3 samples of cinema and 1 sample with shopping and 1 sample with staying. While calculating this formula, we will getting 0.694 for this money attribute as a Gini index. Next, let us calculate the weighted average for money. So, as we discussed before, the money is having 2 variables called rich and poor. So, as we discussed before, so rich is having of 3 samples and poor is having of 3 samples and rich is having of 7 samples. Among those, 0 is for Gini index of poor and 7 is for 0.694 is for rich. So, after solving this, we will be getting 0.486 as a weighted average of money. Next, let us proceed to next attribute called parent. So, we are going to calculate the Gini index for parent attribute. The parent attribute is holding 2 variables called S and no. So, each of S and no is having 5 samples each. Okay. So, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 samples of S and remaining 5 samples of no. When the parent is equal to S, there are 5 samples of cinema, 4 and 5. Okay. There are 5 samples of cinema. When parent is equal to S, the entire 5 samples is associated with cinema. When we are applying the Gini index formula, we will be getting 0 as a Gini index when the parent is equal to S. Next, let us proceed for parent is equal to no. For parent is equal to no, it is associated with 2 samples of tennis, that is 2 samples of tennis for no and 1 sample with staying and 1 sample with shopping and cinema. Now, let us apply these instances with Gini index. We will be getting out of 5, 2 samples for tennis, 1 sample with staying, shopping and cinema. While solving this equation, we will be getting 0.72 as a Gini index of parent. So, as we discussed for money attribute, similarly we are going to calculate the weighted average for parent. So, parent holds 5 instances of S and 5 instances of no, the Gini of no and Gini of S. So, out of 5 is yes and our 5 is no, then the weighted average of parent is 0.36. Now, let us move on to next attribute called weather attribute. So, weather attribute is holding 3 variables called sunny, windy and rainy. So, the out of 3 variables, sunny holds 3 samples, rainy holds 3 samples and windy holds 4 samples. Windy holds 4 samples. For when the weather is equal to sunny, there are 2 samples with cinema. When weather is equal to sunny, there are 2 samples with cinema and 1 sample with tennis as we mentioned here. So now let us calculate the Gini index for weather is equal to sunny. Out of these 3 instances, 2 is of cinema and 1 is of tennis. So while solving this equation, we will be getting 0.4 as a value. Then when weather is equal to rainy, there are 2 samples. When weather is equal to rainy, there are 2 samples of cinema, and 1 sample of stain. When we are applying the Gini for the above instances, so out of 3, 2 samples will be of cinema and 1 sample will be out of stain. So while solving this calculation, we will be getting 0.4 as a output. Next, let us calculate the Gini index for windy. So when weather is equal to windy, there are 3 samples with cinema and 1 sample with shopping. As we let us discuss here. So in windy, there are 1, 2, 3. 3 samples with cinema and 1 sample with shopping. Okay. So next, again we are applying or calculating the Gini index for weather windy attribute. So we are applying into the instances of a Gini index, we will be getting 0.375 as a output value. Next, let us calculate the weighted average for weather attribute. So here there are 3 values or variables for weather. One is sunny, another one is rainy, and next is windy. So the Gini index for sunny is 0.4 and Gini index of rainy is 0.4 and Gini index of windy is 0.375, and out of 10 instances, 3 is for sunny, 3 is for rainy, and this one is for 4 instances for windy. So while solving this, we will be getting 0.416 as output. These are all the weighted averages what we have solved so far. So the weighted average for Gini index of weather is 0.4, then Gini index of parents is 0.36 and money Gini index is 0.486. Among this, the attribute which is having minimum Gini index will be taken into the account. So comparing these 3 things, the parents is having minimal Gini index, so it will be selected as a root. Next, the parent is considered to be a root node. The parent is having 2 values, one is yes and another one is no. Based on that, the data set is split into 2. Then it is considered to be a subnodes into this one branch. When the parent is equal to yes, the decision is cinema. So all the instances are having the same outcome called cinema. So this sub branch is already solved, we need not to split it furtherly. Next, let us move on to the next branch, no, where the 5 instances is considered here, W2, that is week 2, week 5, week 7, week 8 and week 10. So here when the parent is no, there are a number of outputs are here, so that it has to be splitted further. So next we are going to split it based on these 2 attributes, because we have considered this parent already. Okay. Now we are going to split this no branch by considering weather and money by eliminating parent. As we have discussed, as we have included already, we are eliminating parent alone. Now we are going to calculate Gini index for weather attribute when the parent is equal to no. When the parent is equal to no, we are going to consider the weather attribute. We are going to consider the weather attribute. The weather is having 3 values: sunny, rainy and windy. First of all, let us consider the weather attribute along with sunny. The sunny is having 2 samples. Two of them is associated with tennis. Okay. So, while solving with Gini index, we will be getting 0 as a output value. Next, we are going to calculate, we are moving to the next variable of weather attribute. Already we have discussed for sunny. Next we are moving towards rainy. So, among these 5 samples, there is only one rain instance, that too associated with stay in. So, while substituting this instance with Gini index, the value will be of 0. Next, let us move on to the next variable of weather attribute. So, the remaining attribute is windy. Now, we are going to calculate for windy. So, the windy attribute is having of 2 samples. So, windy is having 2 instances, one is cinema and another one is shopping. So, out of 2, one is cinema and another one is shopping. While solving this calculation, we will be getting 0.5 as a output. So, now we are going to calculate the weighted average for parents is equal to no when the attribute is weather. So, it is for sunny, rainy and it is for windy attribute. So, while solving this, we will be getting 0.2 as a weighted average when the parent is equal to no and the attribute is weather. Next, we are going to compute, or we are going to move to the next attribute called money. Okay. When the parent is equal to no, we are considering this money attribute. The money attribute is associated with 2 variables, one is rich, another one is poor. Okay. So, first of all, we are going to calculate the Gini index for parents is equal to no when the money is rich. So, here the money is having 4 rich variables. So, 4 samples or 4 instances are there. Among the 4 instances, there is one sample is associated with stay in and one sample is associated with shopping and 2 is associated with tennis. So, out of that, this is for stay in. While applying to the formula, this is for stay in, this is for shopping. Out of 4 instances, one is for stay in, one is for shopping and 2 is for tennis. While solving this, we will be getting 0.625 as a output. Next, we are going to consider the another attribute of money. So, another variable of money attribute is poor. So, there is poor instances, only one instance which is associated with cinema. So, while applying or finding the Gini index for poor when the parent is equal to no is 0. So, at last we are going to calculate the weighted average when the parent is equal to money and the attribute is the parent is equal to no and the attribute is money. So, here as we calculated here, so for among rich we are having 0.625 and for poor we are having 0 as a Gini index. So, for rich 0.625, so 4 instances are there out of 5 instances and one is poor out of 5. So, this is the Gini index for poor. While calculating this, we will be getting 0.5 as a outcome when the parent is equal to no and the attribute is money. Next, we are going to consolidate the weighted average, for which we have calculated the Gini index. As of now, when the parent is equal to no, we have calculated the Gini index for weather and money. So, for weather we have calculated the weighted average Gini index as 0.2, and for money we have calculated the weighted average of Gini index as 0.5. So, among these two Gini indexes, 0.2 which is associated with weather is considered to be very small value. So, we are selecting weather as a next node to be included. So, next now for parent is equal to no and weather is equal to sunny, we have all the instances are as 10 is. Let us consider W2 and W10. So, when the weather is sunny, it is associated with 10 is. So, there is no problem when the weather is sunny. Next, for parents is equal to no and weather is rainy, there is only one instances which is associated with staying. So, according to this W2, W5 and W10, we need not to do any further splitting. Now, what we have to do is we are going to consider for splitting this W7 and W8 alone. So, next if you are splitting this W7 and W8 in the decision tree, so the decision tree will look like what we are going to discuss right now. So, here as we discussed earlier, the parent is considered to be a root node. Next, by considering Gini index as a attribute selection measure, we have splitted the data set into a decision node and the leaf node. So, one is cinema and another one is based on weather. So, the weather, there are three attributes called rainy, windy, rainy and sunny. So, the rainy is associated with staying and the sunny is associated with tennis as we calculated there. Then while considering the money, so there are two variables called rich and poor. So, the rich is associated with shopping and poor is associated with cinema. So, finally, the tree is constructed based on the above calculation. So, thank you. Let us discuss some other algorithms in machine learning in next session. Thank you all.